Okay, YouTube, I'm back with another adventure. This time it is a Honda 2007 VTX 1300R. Okay, and the problem with this thing was it was flooding the plugs. And after a bunch of research and stuff, I figured out how to make a good bike out of it. Mainly it's in the carburetor. I think they had a defect with the choke. The choke's right in here. You see it right there, that's the choke. I'm going to show you how to disable the choke, and then I'm going to put a throttle slide in here as a washer for a jet kit. And I'm going to try and show you how to do the jet kit also while it's on the bike. But the main thing is I've got to get rid of this old crappy choke, man. This thing's dog doo-doo. It's no good. It floods the plugs, and it's like an air-fuel mixture. And you got one on the bottom of the carburetor, and the choke is an air-fuel mixture. It just doesn't work when either one of them's out of whack. So I got a cure for it, a permanent cure. No more choke, no giving it squirts of gas. Just turn the key on, hit the button, and boom, it's ready. All right, let me see if I can get it discombobulated. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disconnect this choke and put it back together and put it back in there, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, that's the choke, right? And just unscrew it there. Sometimes it's just hand tight. You may have to get it started with a screwdriver. Okay, so I've got it loose. You can see that's loose. I'm gonna pull it up out of there so you can see what I'm talking about. It's not real easy, but it'll come out. See that right there? Got that slide, and it's got a little rubber tip on the end of it. It's just the air fuel for the choke. Gives it more fuel. So what I'm going to do is disconnect it from the cable on this elbow. Take this elbow off of here and put it back together. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, what I want to do here is hold the spring up like so. See, and turn it. See that little guide? And just unclip it. And be careful of the spring. Pull the spring out, pull this piece out, set it aside for the moment. Okay. And this piece here and this elbow should just pull apart. Okay. Alright, so hold this piece off. Okay. And what I'll do is be clipping this back on, even though it doesn't work anymore. I'll be clipping it back on the lip factory. I'll just lay that out of the way for now. Okay. So you can see the hole where the choke thing goes. Alright, so I'm going to bypass all that. And what I'm going to do is permanently disable this choke, and I won't need it with a jet kit. I'm going from a stock 55 main pilot jet to a 58 pilot jet. That's right, 55 pilot jet to a 58. Okay, and I won't never need this choke again. If it gets really like in the 20s or really cold, maybe 3 shots of gas at the throttle and hit the key and keep it idling. Should never have to have a choke again. The only reason to put a choke on them, they run so lean from the factory that they have to have a choke to crank. So if you add a jet, you really don't need a choke. It's getting enough gas to crank. So if you disable this choke without changing your jet, you'll never get the bike cranked unless you pour gas in the carburetor or put the choke back on. Okay, so here's my cure. This is the piece to come out. Well, you can see where the cable slides in. See the rubber piece on the bottom that shuts it off down inside the carburetor. So what I'm going to do is put the spring back on here, like so. See that? Put the spring back on there. And then I'm going to put this piece back on that screws into the carburetor. Okay, so that goes on like that and like that. So what I'm going to do, very carefully, is get it ready to go back into that hole. So I'm going hold it. It's going to take two hands. Maybe I can get it down in there. There it goes. Just like that. Okay. So you see it back down in there. Right there. Now I've got to get it started and hold that spring down in there. So you can pull it up. And see the spring. Put it back down on there. Okay. So I'm going to try and get it back down on there. And screw this back in there. And that'll hold that enrichment down where it shuts it off, and there's no more leaking, no more air fuel mixture at the choke. It'll only be on the bottom of the carburetor. So I want to screw that back in. Okay, and there's a little nipple to go on there just in case. So you can take this cable, push it right back down in there, and clip it right back on in there. See that? Okay, so it's back together. If it doesn't work, but it doesn't matter, you don't need it. But it is a good way to keep everything back together in case ever you do want to change jets back to stock, which nobody would want to do that. And then again, somebody might want to bring it back to original. Alright, so my next step is to go up here and go inside here and take out the slide. I have a new one. This one here, to get the bike running, I had to put some duct tape on it to cover the holes in the rubber diaphragm. So we'll go over it some more when we get in there. Alright, so we'll take the lid off. I have the Honda OEM part that I'll be replacing. It's like 80 bucks. And it doesn't come with nothing. You gotta put everything out, your old one in there. But this is what happened. Was this piece here. Got cracks in it. When I pull it out, I'll show it to you. Where I duct tape it so I could get it running. Matter of fact, it run really good. And if I was stuck down the road and I did that to it, I would be able probably to get home. Okay, let me remove this lid. And we'll go into there and I'll show you what it takes to change it. Okay, I'm down to the last screw. We're going to pull the top off. Well, not we, I am. You only see two pairs of hands, right? Whew, it's a hot day here in Florida. It feels like 105 leaking sweat. Alright, here's what you got. Got a spring inside there. There's a little cup that holds a spring. Doesn't matter which way the spring goes. Move none out of the way. Okay, and then reach here and pull this diaphragm up. And we'll pull out the whole thing. And I'll show you where I put the duct tape. Right there, can you see it? Okay. Right there. There, there. There and there. The thing was pretty well worn out. But it actually run. Them things were split. You can actually see them on this side, the split in it. See that? It's split. But that duct tape actually helped it work and run so I could figure it out. See what was wrong with it. Okay? You know, it's amazing. Look at that. But it ran. So what I got to do is get down inside there and take that out with a screwdriver, and this needle is underneath there, and there's a washer that I already put from a recent jet kit, and I'll show you how to do that. But that's all there is to this. You just got to remember to get this little piece right back into, there's a little groove right there, and that's where that sets in there. But this did work. We drove it and everything. Well, not drove it, rode it. Did everything with it. And Worked pretty good. Now we got the new one, which is a Honda OEM part. I wouldn't buy nothing else, not on something this specific. So what we gotta do, or me, gotta take that piece out of there, turn it counterclockwise, and get the little washer and the needle out and put it here. So when I come back, I'll be showing taking it apart. Okay, so I'm back, and what I gotta do is take the screwdriver, stick it down in there, and turn this counterclockwise. Okay, so I broke it loose. It's going to come out. It's going to stick on the head of the screwdriver. Alright, so that's all it is. It's right there. And it's got the spring. Lay this down for a second. Okay, so you got this little spring in here. And some guys say to cut this little nipple. There's a little line on there where you can use it to cut it with toenail clippers or something. I forget what modification it is, a Clayton root or whatever. But even if you cut that piece out, you smash that spring, it's still not below before you cut it out. So it doesn't make sense to me to cut it. Okay, so I wouldn't cut it because I don't believe you're going to get any kind of benefit from it. With that spring collapsed, it's still taller than that nipple before you cut it, so it doesn't make sense to me. See that? So don't do that. Or you can, I mean, maybe you can get a magical mystery power out of it or something, but I don't believe that there's anything to it. Okay, so next I'm going to pull the needle out, and the washer's in there, right in there. So I'm just going to take my finger and kind of hold it and guide it down so I don't lose the needle. Alright? Okay. So we got that one out. You can just lay that there, and I'll show you. See that little washer on there came with the jet kit I got. I bought a jet kit for $22 out of Michigan. Not out of Michigan, out of Mississippi. And this came with it. This is the stock needle, and this is the washer they give me with a 58 pilot jet and a 200 main jet, and that thing really works good, man. I put one in my other one, it really works good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put this needle and the washer back into here. A little tricky, but a little steadiness, you can do it. Okay, so I got it down in there. So I gotta drop this little piece. Doesn't look like it was in a specific way, but drop that back down in there. You can see it. I'll try to line it up with a screwdriver and click it back in there. A little spring in there. And it seems that I got it in there. Okay, so I got it back in there. Got the needle on. Move it around here a little click. Now, okay, so that's all good. So now I throw a little duct tape away here, and hey, I might keep it just in case I need it in another one. These things are so easy to fix. I mean, they're really nice bikes when they come out, but I think the carburetors are just a little defective with that choke. But like I said, if they didn't use a choke on these or as lean as they are from the factory, you'd never get it cranked with a factory jet. But you put a 58 in there, which would come with a 55 pilot slow jet. You put a 58 in there, it'll start right up. You don't even have to give it any gas. This is the second one I've done with excellent results. And the only problems with these bikes, if there is any, would be these carburetors. They're just not, I believe there's a defect in the choke from my beliefs. But you cut that choke off, put that little washer on there, put a 58 final jet and a 200 main jet, and you turn the air fuel screw out to 2 turns, maybe 2 turns and 1/16th maybe at the most, and that thing will just perform like a screamer. I mean, mine does. That's only a stage 1 kit. It runs awesome. It runs really awesome. So, and to get this thing on, it looks like a lot better that way. If you pull it up like that and then let it drop down, then that seal wants to stay right in place. Okay, and next you got your spring, and drop that in there, and then you got your cap. Make sure it's on the thing there. And it doesn't matter where the cap screws go. And just slowly kind of guide it down there. Yeah. Make sure everything's good. It looks good to me. Put my first screw in. Okay. I don't want to get it too tight, just tight enough to where I can still move it around. It's still flexible. And I just want to bring it down a little bit. Make sure I can move it some. That way I can line up my other screws. It's not really hard to work on these carburetors. It takes a little bit of patience. Little tiny fingers. My fingers are just so big and old and worn out. It's hard to get them going in there. Okay, so I think what we'll do next, we got the slide. We did away with the choke, which was a really great job, I thought. Everything just happened to work together right. And we'll get this top back on there. And then we'll take the carburetor loose, and maybe I'll go in there and just show you the jets. I've already installed them. It's no big deal to pull off the fuel bowl and go through it with you. Okay. So I want to tighten these down, cross tighten them, and just snug them down a little bit, more equally. I mean, they ain't got to be crank monster tight, but they do have to be tight. Okay, let's see something. Okay, I didn't know, I think I failed to show you about the lid when it goes on. There's a little groove right there. See that little groove? That goes into that little rubber hole right there in the gasket. Just got to go over that. So I did forget to tell you that. I actually forgot myself. So now that we got it straightened out, that's the way it will go. Just like that, because that is a little vacuum release hole or something. If you don't get that right, then it won't be right. I can't tell you what I'll do because I haven't experimented and put it on right. So just thought I'd bring that back. Okay, so I'm going to remove the carburetor. Okay, so I can show you how to do the jet kit. Alright, so I got my Phillips here. Now I'm taking off the manifold boot closest to the carburetor. And if you go under the choke cable, you can get in there. It's not going to be easy, but with a long enough Phillips, you can loosen it enough to slide that carburetor out of the socket. Okay. So I'll go through that and then I'll show you how to remove it enough to get the jet kits in and out. Okay, now I'm leaking like a faucet. Must be 100 and some degrees out here. So I'm going to gently pull up And now I got it loose, see? So I can go up underneath and get up in there. Alright, so I can show you how to take the bottom apart. Now I got to position this camera where I can show you that.